All right. Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for being here and welcome to another episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. My name's Otis Landerholm. I am an immigration attorney, certified specialist in immigration law, and the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. And welcome, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok. Welcome to today's episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. Today we're going to be asking the question, is it better for your immigration case to be in California during this Trump administration? And so welcome, thank you so much for being here, and really appreciate your joining today's episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. All right? Remember, the Empowered Immigrant Live is here to train, teach, inspire, and empower immigrants to make the most out of immigration laws and to make the most out of their lives. All right? And today our question, our theme is it better for your immigration case to be in the state of California right now during this Trump administration? All right, so we'll discuss that. If you have questions about your case as I'm talking, feel free to submit your questions. And my question for you is, do you want to get a green card? Do you want to get asylum? Do you want to get a U visa or VAWA? Or do you want to figure out what is the best pathway? What is the best solution? What is the best option? Because if so, go for it. Get to the bottom of that. And I'd love to help you with that. And my firm is here to help you with that. My firm is on a mission to win 10,000 immigration cases in the next 10 years. And we would love for your case to be one of them. All right? So thanks to each of you for being here. Really appreciate each of you. And now I want to talk about what's going on in the state of California. Okay? You may have seen in the news, all right, earlier this month, Governor Newsom has signed into law a set of laws that are California's response to the Trump administration's kind of aggressive tactics on immigration, all right? And so it's like the state of California is resisting what's happening and pushing back against what's happening with the Trump administration. And so you may have seen, right, Senate Bill 627 is controversial and kind of is this fighting point between the state and the feds. And it passed, right? And it prohibits federal and local law enforcement officers from wearing face masks while they're conducting their duties. All right? And so it's like, should ICE officers be allowed to wear face masks as they go and, show up and arrest people? And California says no, the federal government says yes, but California passed this law saying no. All right? And then there's others, right? Assembly Bill 49 prohibits schools from allowing immigration enforcement officers into the school unless those officers have warrants. All right? And so protecting our students, our immigrant students. Senate Bill 805 requires that law enforcement officers identify themselves. All right, with some exceptions if they're undercover, etc. But they've got to identify themselves as they're conducting their duties. All right, Senate Bill 81, you may have seen this, prohibits immigration enforcement from entering certain restricted areas of health facilities, hospitals, without a judicial warrant or a court order. Okay? And Senate Bill 98 requires schools and universities, I believe, higher education as well, to send community notifications when ICE is enforcing on their campus. Okay, let the parents know. Send out community information if that happens. All of these are like, it's California trying to pass certain laws that protects the immigrants of the state of California against the immigrant enforcement that's happening from the feds and from the Trump administration and from ICE. And so that's happening. Did you know that that was happening? All right, pay attention, watch the news. This is happening. And, the question, of course, is will that work? Like, can a state pass laws to regulate how federal officers enforce federal laws? It's a conflict between state law and federal law. Can a state do that? It's really unclear. All right? It's really unclear as to whether or not these laws will make any difference. It's maybe unlikely that these laws actually will make much of a difference in how ICE officers actually do their jobs. I think we would all be a bit naive to think that, oh, okay, now that these laws have passed, all immigrants in the state of California are safe. Like, be cautious, all right? I'm glad that these laws have passed. I'm grateful to live in a state that doesn't just roll over and do what the federal, what the Trump administration doing right now is crazy, all right? They are detaining people. They're detaining grandmothers, okay? And so what the Trump administration is doing right now is crazy, and I'm grateful to live in a state that doesn't just roll over and fall for that nonsense. All right, we've got to respect human rights. We've got to push back. We've got to resist this type of authoritarian kind of, it's really concerning what the federal government is doing right now. And at the same time, we can't be naive and just think, oh, okay, now that these laws have passed, now magically all Californian immigrants are safe from enforcement. Like, that's false thinking, right? And so what do we do if we're immigrants in the state of California, or if we're immigrants anywhere in the country? What do we do? Well, we can follow what's going on, but we should also come up with a game plan, right? Like, regardless of where you live, don't go it alone. Don't file a case on your own, all right? Don't hire some notario down the street that doesn't even know what they're doing and they put you at risk. Like, get support. Get a team behind you. Get advice that comes from experts. Get empowered. That's what the Empowered Immigrant Live is all about, and that's my message here today. All right. So short and sweet message. Yes, good things are happening in the state of California. I'm grateful that our state is pushing back. All right, because human beings matter. Immigrants matter. Immigrants are awesome. Like, we need to just tell our leadership, and we need to demonstrate for our leadership over and over again that the people that they are deporting are not bad guys. All right, they are deporting good people, and they should not be. They need to open their minds and understand that humans have things to contribute, right? And that people from other places are not bad and evil. People from other places are actually great. They're an enormous contribution to our society, if only we would open our minds and recognize it. So thank you very much for being here. I'm glad that people have the courage to stand up and to oppose what's happening from the federal government right now. And it's like, it is still happening. And so let's also be cautious and be smart about it. And let's take actions to fix our immigration status once and for all, if and when you're eligible for that. Or at the very least, to get good advice so that you can maximize your chances of being eligible for something in the future, so that we can all move on. All right? And that's my goal in all of this. That's my hope in all of this. Thank you all so much for being here. Really appreciate each of you. If you're just tuning in, you have joined the Empowered Immigrant Live. My name is Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. If my firm can help you in any way with your immigration legal issues, please feel free to give us a call. We are here to help. We would love to help. All right? And now let me turn it over to anyone who's here watching who has a question that you'd like to ask. To do that, please put it in the chat on whatever platform you're on, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. I'll do my best to monitor the different platforms along with our team. We'll do our best to monitor the platforms, and I'll do my best to answer each of the questions that come in today. All right? All right, so bear with me. Let me pull this up. All right. All right. So Peter Posemers, you say Trump is evil. All right. All right. Welcome to our episode. Thank you very much for being here. I don't fully disagree with you. I won't say that I won't use that word, right? I won't. I'll say that he's misguided. I think that he's incorrect. Right? I think that he's doing things that are poor. He's making poor decisions when it comes to immigration laws, and in the amount of enforcement against immigrants who are trying to contribute to our country, rather than passing laws that fixes the issue. He's trying to just deport everybody, and it's the wrong approach, in my opinion. All right, Shanice, Bud, thank you for your opinion. I don't fully disagree with you either. Anyway, I'll contemplate that in more depth. Shanice, can someone on welfare help someone obtain a green card? I mean, the answer is yes. The answer is yes. You can't just help anyone obtain a green card, right? I guess it depends on what you mean by the word help, right? You can encourage them to go talk to a lawyer, right? Anybody can do that. But can you help a spouse get a green card? Like if you are married to if a U.S. citizen is married to a non-citizen, can that U.S. citizen help their spouse even though they have welfare? And the answer there is yes, the person can petition their spouse. The challenge in that case is you have to also show that you can sponsor that person, and that means showing a certain number of dollars in income so that you can be the financial sponsor and sign the affidavit of support. But if you don't have enough money to be that sponsor, you've got to show you make 125% of the federal poverty guidelines for your state, for your circumstance. And if you can show that, then great. And if you can't show that, then you might need a joint sponsor. Right? You can still do the petition, but you might need someone else who can be the sponsor of the case. All right, so Shanice, I hope that was helpful for you. And if you want help with that, or if you want to think that through in more depth, feel free to call our office. We can help you through that. All right, we've done several of those cases, and they are winnable cases. You just have to know how to navigate them. All right, and so just to be clear, right, United States citizens. So if you're a U.S. citizen, you have the right to petition for spouses, parents, as long as you're over 21, children, right? If you have even stepchildren, immigrant stepchildren, you could petition for. Fiancés, if you have a fiancé from another country and you want to petition to bring them into the U.S., all right? And siblings, all right? Now, U.S. citizens can petition for brothers and sisters who are outside the country. Those cases take years and years and years. They're super slow, all right? But, and if you're petitioning for a child, a son or daughter who is already over 21, similarly, or if they're already married, those cases take years and years and years also, all right? But spouses, parents, and minor children go relatively quickly, and so those are the main folks that you could help, Shanice, and anybody in that situation. All right. Path divergence. I don't know. Ninth Circuit has released some decisions that seem pretty anti-immigrant. 100%. I don't disagree with you there at all. Thank you for saying that. The politics in the Ninth Circuit seems to be changing. All right. And so thank you for saying that. And I am grateful that we're in the Ninth Circuit compared to some of the other circuits in the country. But I don't disagree with what you just said. All right. Janine Simpson. What is the time frame for an I-130 consular processing on average for a Mexican national? So it depends on which category. And by that I mean, is it an I-130 petition for a spouse? Or is it an I-130 petition for a sibling? Or is it an I-130 petition for a child, right? If it's a spouse, typically, 12 to 15 months on average, typically. Okay? Jay, number 2, I see your question here. You say, judge granted my waiver of inadmissibility, but USCIS denied it. Thank you for saying this. I'm sorry that USCIS denied the waiver. So if the judge, which happened first, right? If the judge granted the waiver, then you don't need to send it to USCIS. If USCIS denied the waiver, and if you're in court, there are some waivers, a 212H waiver, for example, that you can submit directly to the judge again, and if the judge grants it, you don't care about USCIS anymore. All right? And so you want to be careful, you want to be mindful. Like if the judge really granted your waiver of inadmissibility, then who cares what USCIS says? File your adjustment of status, file your green card directly in front of the judge. But if the judge granted your prosecutorial discretion so that you could file the waiver and USCIS denied the waiver, then your case is in trouble. You need to appeal that denial or refile that waiver. And maybe, depending on if you're still in court or not, maybe do it quickly. Okay? So my best advice in your situation, Jay, is talk to your lawyer. If you don't have one, feel free to call, and we can really look at that with you to see if we need to refile that waiver or appeal the denial. Remember, if you're appealing, you got a strict time limit. You got to do it within 30 days of that decision denying your waiver. All right, Hector M. Vargas. How does the DACA speculation affect my AOS process if I'm in Texas? It doesn't really. I mean, if you're eligible, so here's the answer. If you are eligible for AOS, then great. Adjust your status. You don't need to depend on DACA anymore. Okay? If you are not, if your adjustment gets denied, though, sometimes the strategy is to maintain DACA just in case your adjustment gets denied so that you have your plan B in place, if that makes sense. And so, anyway, that's my answer. But if you're married to a U.S. citizen, if you're eligible for adjustment of status and going through that process, go for it, right? And if you need help with that in any way, feel free to reach out. All right, Monica, I will be sponsoring my husband. I'm a citizen. How long? Let's see, no criminal issues, no deportation, has no deport orders, no criminal background. The question always also is, I'm glad that you're sharing, thank you for sharing this, Monica. The question also is, how did your husband enter the U.S.? All right, if your husband entered on a visa, entered lawfully, was inspected and admitted lawfully or paroled lawfully into the U.S., and now you're a U.S. citizen and are marrying your husband, then your husband should be eligible to adjust status as long as there's no inadmissibility grounds. All right? And Monica, I see you said no, he was not inspected and admitted. That means that you're going to have to process it through the U.S. Embassy or the U.S. Consulate in your husband's home country. Okay? And I'm glad that they don't have any deportation orders. I'm glad that they don't have any criminal background. If they have over a year of unlawful presence, they will need to do a waiver. And we do this on Form I-601A. It's an unlawful presence waiver, and that's part of the process. It's a 3-step process. It's a 3-step dance, all right? Step 1 is the petition. Step 2 is the waiver. Step 3 is the consular process, meaning leave the U.S., go to your interview, go to your medical exam, get that stamp in your passport so that you can re-enter, so that your husband can re-enter the country lawfully. All right, and then you get a green card, or your husband gets a green card through that process. It's a 3-step process, and each of these steps takes several years. All right, so it's a slow process, but that is the way to do it. And if you want legal help with that, I highly recommend that you have a lawyer, a law firm help you through that process. My office does that all the time. All right. So very good. Jay, you say, where can I contact you? Thank you. You're very welcome. Thank you for being here. Our information should be in the description of the video you're watching, so you can check there. And if that's not clear, we're at landerhomeimmigration.com, and that's our website, and you can see all of our information there. Feel free to give us a call, and we can help you through it. All right. Thank you all so much for joining our episode today. Thank you really so much for being here. My name's Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. If this was useful, if this was helpful, please take a moment, go to our channel in YouTube, hit the subscribe button, and also hit that notifications bell. When you do that, you can receive a notification every time we upload an additional video with news, updates, things of that nature, so that you can stay informed and so that you can stay in communication. All right? Let's see. Marcos, you say, my friend needs help. I am looking for a visa, for temporary work, please. All right, so yeah, feel free to reach out and we can see what we can do. All right, we can see what options might be available. Any news of the H-1B cap and all of the 100K news that has happened? That's outside of my wheelhouse. I mean, I've seen the news, right? That is going to be a fight. And my office does not do H-1Bs, all right? So if you're here looking for an employment-based immigration solution, that's not what my law firm is here to do. My law firm fights for the rights of immigrants who are facing deportation, all right? We do family-based cases. We fight for immigrants who have never been inspected and admitted into the United States and help them fix that problem when there's a legal way to do that, all right? Let's see, how much is the charge for a second opinion? Well, I mean, feel free to give us a call and schedule a consultation. And then in the consultation, we can talk about, hey, do we need to do a full legal review? What are we giving a second opinion about? All right? And so, so feel free to reach out and we can get to the bottom of that. Let's see here. About how long, Monica, I see your question. How long is a consular case? So imagine the petition takes about a year. Imagine the waiver takes 3 to 4 years. And imagine the consular process takes another year or so after that, depending on which country you're in. 2, 4, it's about 6 years of a process. All right? And so that's the reality. That's the reality. Sometimes it might go faster, sometimes it might go slower. Who knows what will happen politically in between now and then? The best advice is the sooner you want it, the sooner you should get started doing it. All right? And so, like, that is the reality. And yeah, no immigration case is fast, folks. All right? These are government processes. They do take time. And the fastest process, perhaps, is citizenship. Right now, we're seeing citizenship cases done in 6 to 8 months on average here at the San Francisco field office. Remember that citizenship laws and citizenship rules are getting stricter and stricter, and they're going into effect in October, right? I don't have that date precisely in front of me. I should. I meant to do that before. I don't have that date precisely in front of me. It's like the 20th. Of October. I'll do separate videos about that. That might be the theme of our episode on Thursday of this week. All the restrictions in citizenship, and I'll get that information right in front of me so you have it. If anybody is thinking about filing for citizenship, though, there's no time like the present. All right, I recommend doing that as long as you're eligible, as long as your case doesn't have risks involved. Get a detailed consultation before deciding whether or not to do that. But if you have a good case, there's no time like the present. You should do it. All right. That's all I got, folks. Thank you all so much for being here. Really appreciate each of you. I will do this episode in Spanish in just a few moments. Si habla español, que venga nuestro episodio en español en unos minutos. Thank you so much for being here. My name's Otis Landerholm, Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. And I will see you next time on our next episode of The Empowered Immigrant Live. Thanks a lot, everybody. Make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.